All right, folks, here we go. Lots of stuff to cover. This is the South screencast here. We'll try to get things done in 10 minutes. We won't even touch slavery. That'll be next class's kind of main lesson. And maybe there'll be a screencast along with that too. So we'll just focus on the South. I'm going to do my best not to compare it to the North. It's so hard. That's what I've been really doing for so long here. Play slideshow. All right, so the South. Neat little transition there. All right, so guys, once again, in case you didn't see the last one, or just to remind you, when we talk about the antebellum anything, so antebellum America, antebellum South, that means the South before the Civil War. So pretty much any time between, the early 1800s to 1860. So that's the before the Civil War in this case. All right. First thing, I have a quote here from a guy named Alexis de Tocqueville, who was a famous French political observer, came to America. Wrote this really famous, account of what he saw there and took it back to Europe, and it was still very famous today. And if you take any U.S. history course in college, you'll definitely, hear about de Tocqueville here. Here's his quote. He says, "I could easily prove that almost all the differences which may be noticed between the character of Americans in southern and northern states have originated in slavery." All right, so slavery is going to be the big thing, and all the different things that go with it. All right, the geography of the South. We have fertile coastal plains, where you see coastal plains on the map on the right. And when it gets up into the kind of hill country there along the Appalachian Mountains, that's also part of the South, and it's a very different, much more rugged terrain. Obviously less, not as good for agriculture. There's also the terms here we need to know: the upper and lower South. So the states of like Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, those would be the upper South. Much more diverse in their economies, much more likely to be like the North, with industry, and much less dependent on cotton. And the lower South will be states like, let's see the Cotton Belt, in our book and so on, we'll call it. That'll be states like Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina. That's really the lower South. All right, climate, once again, guys, it's called humid subtropical. That means it's got hot, humid, long summers, which makes for long growing seasons, short and mild winters. Right, so in the middle, in Florida, you guys probably been down there, perhaps in December for Christmas break or something, and the daily highs could be 60, 70 degrees. So it's a lot different down there in the South as far as climate. All right, agriculture, long growing seasons. Again, in the upper South, we have wheat, corn, tobacco, other things. In the lower South, the deep South, we also call it, it's going to be cotton. All right, so you see a cotton field here to the right, and those little cotton balls are called cotton bolls, B-O-L-L-S, bolls. I have one for Mr. Sass I might pass around class. And also on the coast of Carolina, some indigo and rice are grown. All right, industry in the South, very limited. We do need to talk about the cotton gin here. So industry and machinery does really transform the South in that they stop having to hand pick cotton seeds. And you see here, this is from your book. You can read all about the cotton gin if you wanted to. In fact, invented by Eli Whitney, who was a northerner. So again, you see that northern influence, that kind of ingenuity coming down to the South and really revolutionizing and changing it. This is a hand box, a hand cotton gin. Eventually, they had these huge, monstrous steam-powered cotton gins. And just from the very beginning, you could pick the seeds out of the cotton 50 times faster. Or, what that meant was before, if you had 50 people picking cotton seeds out, now you only needed one person to do that same work. Right. And again, what do northerners have to do with it, I ask here? Where's this cotton going? Where's this cotton fiber going? Yes, it's going to other places in the world like France and England and so on, but the North is really sucking up a lot of this cotton and obviously turning it into textiles. All right, we've got about a minute left here. I'm going to check. All right, we'll try to get education in and we'll go on to the next one. In the South, very few, it's just a different way of life here, very few public schools right up through the Civil War and maybe even sometimes after. Society in the South was much more spread out. So these huge cotton plantations would be spread out miles apart, small farmers miles apart. As you can see here, I believe this is in 1850. We have major cities. You can see how they're clustered really in the North and the Midwest. And in the South, there's very few. Some states don't have any major cities of over 10,000 people. So there really wasn't a concentration enough where you could bring kids together and really kind of educate them publicly. So on wealthy plantations, it wasn't as if they didn't get education. They just hired somebody, a tutor, to come in and teach them all the classics, Greek and Latin and mathematics, all those things. All right, that ends part one.